Peace. This is the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. So this week, before we get into the interview, a couple thoughts. The two big issues that have hit in this week. One probably bears a deeper conversation, and one probably bears a deeper conversation, but in a different light. And those two things is one, the Jay-Z, Rock Nation, Kaepernick, NFL situation. The only thing that pressing thing, because I don't really want to dive into that in any depth in this moment, but I felt it bears mentioning. I think it's important that we learn how to have a viewpoint and a perspective on happenings without deciding we're picking a public side, so to speak, or some sort of litmus test around one's politics, morals, or values. There's a road to discussing that circumstance, and especially once I have better understanding what the details are or what they aren't, that does not require us, or at least me, speak for myself, it requires me to look at these as an oppositional situation. And I would encourage you to, in the energy of a great podcast I enjoyed this week, catching up with Revisionist History, to delve into the particular and go from there. The second being this chicken sandwich situation. And it's so interesting to me that I definitely might want to round up a crew to talk about it in many different levels. But generally, I'm going to just say this. If somebody is really partaking of the chicken sandwiches at some infinite clip, cutting that alone from their diet would lead to the emancipation and liberation of all the ills of our community. When I say that, of the black community, or the challenges that we face, because they really shouldn't be considered ills that are ours in isolation, then put me on if that's the key. I think there's a lot there that's so much, but that's been the buzz of the week as I'm getting all this together and getting this episode ready to roll. So if you get one of them sandwiches, man, let a brother know what it's hitting for. I'm not a big fried chicken sandwich eater, but I eat chicken time to time. I might check it out. You let me know. I'll wait till the excitement dies down and see what happens. With that done, let's get into a little prep for the show. So my guest today, you're going to meet, is an old friend, someone who we bonded over the joys of a joint company brunch at Salty's here on the river in Portland. And so someone I'm happy to count as a friend, and I'm glad to get him on the show to share some of who he is. So please tune in and listen, and thank you. Peace.
Let me know when we're live.
Peace. This is the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. Today I'm joined by my guest, Kory McDow. Peace, Kory.
Peace. How you doing?
I'm good. So we're just going to get into it. You want to just start out by sharing someone or some person, something that you want to give some love or some respect, some reverence to.
Yeah.
Get into our interview.
I have to start out with my family, and most specifically my mom. Just being right here in this moment, and thinking about all that she's done to help get me here. I just I got to start there. She loves hard, she loves strong, and she's been a good example of how to do things.
Word up. Well, peace to mom.
Yeah.
And tell her I said what's up. He's in town.
Indeed.
All right, so we'll get into our first question. So can you share a standard or a principle, something that you try to do, the way you try to live and move through the world?
Yeah. my standard, I mean, I got a few, but the one that I think about the most that I try to keep to the forefront of my mind is being authentic and just, you know, being who I am for the sake of me and not trying to do something for somebody else because I think that's what they want me to do or be or whatnot. Yeah, and I kind of came to that. Had some experiences. We all have experiences that, kind of shape and define who we are as we move through the world. And just, I used to want to be that person on stage for everybody else and trying to, what would they think? What would they feel? How can I make them be a certain way and, or act a certain way or appreciate this or that? And yeah, I just said, it came to one point where I said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to do me. And because I'm the best at doing me. Nobody else can do me. So I'm going to do that. And so that's kind of helped shape how I go about my day to day.
All right. Thank you. Now, is there a story or any particular thing that maybe has happened that you could share that helped you to get to that understanding where you really wanted to focus on that as a part of how you move?
Well, so growing up, I went to, I was in a bunch of different circles, and I found myself, I grew up and going to school and whatnot, and I went to a lot of schools where there was a lot of white people, and, and being one of, a handful or one of a couple black students in that school, and always feeling like I had to show up a certain way so that I could be that example of, somebody who's real and right here and not what you see is what's portrayed on TV. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, I always was thinking about, I can't do this. Oh, I'm going to do this. Or, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to have this interest because they don't expect me to do this. And I'm going to do this. And so I could be that example. And then, through high school, through college, and then afterwards, I just got to a point, and I don't know if it was one defining moment, mm-hmm. but it was just like it's tiring. I'm tired of doing other people. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do me, and so and once I had that, a few friends fell by the wayside, and that's just a casualty of life, and once that happened, I started to get to my core and my crew, and it's been nice, and it's a daily, hey, I'm gonna do me. What do I want to do right now? How do I want to show up right now?
All right, that's peace. And I think it's, you mentioned something there around that, trying to be who you are and what you're into, but then having feeling like you need to be responsible, like for how other people see other people.
Right.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy and time that goes into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do you think there's anything, like, having got to that understanding, is there anything you think you would have done differently, at other times in your life to deal with that energy or what have you?
Yeah, I feel like I would have, I don't know, just being authentic, right? And I would have reacted certain ways to certain circumstances. Mm-hmm. And of course, the collection of circumstances and the collection of actions that we take lead us to where we are right now, in the here and now. So on one hand, I wouldn't change anything, but on the other hand, it would have been a smoother ride if I had, thought about it instead of jumping to, I got to do this. I got to do it this way. It would have been a little bit smoother ride, which would have been nice.
Indeed. All right. So, second question.
Yeah.
Can you share something that you've learned about relationships?
Yeah. Broadly
defined.
Right.
That you do differently now than maybe you did when you were younger.
Yeah. Oh, I got one. It's funny. I was thinking about this, and something that jumped up just like instantly was communicating the right way. And for me, what that means is communicating directly, open, and honestly. And so And the way I remember that is just, direct, open, and honest, DOH. It's like, if you don't communicate, it's like a dough moment, right?
I
so
like
it's
that.
like, so.
Dough moment.
Dough.
Put that down.
Yeah.
Dough moment.
Right. And so, because, when I'm younger, I didn't think about how am I communicating? How am I relating information to somebody else? And, I met my wife and we started talking and communicating, and then we were there would be times where we would miss each other, and it's like, well, what's going on? Like, why are we not on the same wavelength here? And it was just like, yeah, we ain't playing games, we ain't talking about other stuff. Let's talk about what's real. Let's be direct, open, and honest. And I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I'm gonna tell you how you feel, and let's see where we match up and figure it out and move forward. And so it's just been highlighted why, look, I'm going to say how I'm going to feel now. Of course, that means you got to be tactful, right? And you can't just be like, out there just blasting folks.
Yeah.
But when it's time to communicate, be direct, open, and honest, and then you can go from there.
All right. Now, you mentioned in the relationships being direct, open, and honest, and you mentioned something I thought was very important there about being tactful, right?
Yeah.
Could you just in case somebody that's listening may not understand what tact means, could you just give what your definition of being tactful is?
So I always say, with our kids, I always say, communication. The whole point of communicating is to relate information to somebody else. Is to get it from you to them. And in that, what I define as tactful is sometimes there's a way you can get the information from you to them. And there's a method in how you do that. And so you can be direct, open, and honest, right? Direct, tell it to them straight up, this is how it is. But also, sometimes they may not be in a space, or, it's time and space, right? Sometimes they might not be ready to hear it. And so, and sometimes they're not going to get that message because of what's going on for them. And so it's being the person who's delivering that information, that knowledge, it's making sure that they're able to receive the communication, because communication is a two-way street. And if you could be saying all this stuff and just getting off your chest, well, I feel better, but then the person on the other end is not there receiving it, they're not getting it, and then it's just a mess.
It's just a mess. I hear that, and I think something I hear in there, you let me know if I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Is there's an empathy in
Yes.
there, there's a compassion, and
Yes.
there's a mindfulness of sort of the circumstance,
Yes.
right? Like, telling, if you're out with, at least this all happens to you, you're out with a friend that maybe they should have took a full shower after after playing ball.
Right.
They're like, no, I'm just gonna change. It's cool.
It's like,
and now you already out. You didn't notice
right
till you got
yeah,
kind of away.
now you out there.
So, and you don't want to be like, hey man, you stink.
Yeah.
So you might go, you might grab him by the arm. We're like, beloved, yo,
Yo.
you a little. I got some oil in my backpack.
Yeah.
You want to rub that on, like, you might,
Right.
but in their ear,
Right.
just let them know because I love you.
Right.
I don't want you to stink.
Yeah.
While we out here.
Both cases are direct, open, and honest, but one's, it's just like, yo, I'm just telling you right now, get off my chest. And the other one is like, yo, what's the best way to deliver it so that you are receptive? You don't have to worry about other folks hearing that you're funky right now.
Yeah, and that's a fun and facetious moment, but I think there's something there with being mindful that you want, when you share something, it's because you want the person to get it,
right? And
not just because you just want to say it,
like, right.
Which sometimes happens in life.
Sometimes, yeah. I always tell our kids, if somebody is sharing knowledge with you, say thank you. Somebody's taking the time out of their day to give you information. Don't be like, oh, you already know that. It's like, cool. It's not about you already knowing that. Someone's sharing information with you. What you do with that is up to you, but say thank you, and then keep doing what you do. But
all right, yeah. No, that's I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So third question, a big one, and then we can meander a little bit.
Yeah.
What is just something that's really important for you right now in your life? Just something that's
Yeah.
it's ranking high.
Yeah. Right now, I've been focusing a lot on how I'm showing up, for the kids. We got 2 kids, and just making sure that they are being good citizens, just being good people. I mean, they're so amazing. They're loving and caring, and I want to make sure that I keep feeding that fire that for caring for other people. And I mean, that's one thing. The other thing is, how do you move through the world? How do you show up? And again, this is goes back to the authentic thing. Like, how do you show up for you? Like, be you and move through the space. So yeah, right now, I've heard on previous podcasts about not liking the word role model or and I'm not trying to be a role model. I'm just trying to give them information so that as they get older and start to enter the teenage years, and it's just like, all right, this is what's real, and this is how it's showing up. How do you use that and still be you? Don't lose you, no matter how old my babies get.
Yeah, wow. They're gonna get older.
I know.
You've experienced. We've seen. Well, you got nephews too. So
Yeah,
not just nephews.
yeah.
I think. Yeah, you got other.
Yeah.
Besides the ones I know.
Right. Who's been through it already?
But it's the. I think, and let me know if I'm on the right path. I hear there too. Is the. Your baseline is someone. Sometimes we talk about, you obviously have some good home training.
Right. Yeah.
Sort of like,
yeah.
And sometimes that's the case. Like you learn certain stuff. Your parents teach you certain things.
Right.
And not that everything they teach you is correct.
Right.
We definitely all get some other stuff from our folks.
Yeah.
But then you at your stages of development, you gotta decide if these are the right things for you.
Right.
And then either very overtly or at least subconsciously a little bit. At least that's my experience. And you hope that you regress. They say regression to the mean in the statistical world. Excel master, about that sort of thing.
Yeah. We it's not just for big things too. It's for little stuff, right? Like we go to the grocery store and they'll, when you checking out, somebody will the person working there will say, "Oh, can I give them a treat?" And it's like, yeah. And then they'll address the kid and address them and say, "Can I give this to you?" And they'll say, "Yeah." And I say, "Okay, say thank you." And they'll say, "Thank you." And I'm like, "No, look them in their eye and say thank you." Just take that moment, because they were thinking about you in that moment. Don't just say thank you and then duck your head and be looking all over the place. No, look them in the eye and say thank you. Right? Like, that's huge. That's important, because on a number of levels, it lets the person know you appreciate them. It lets them know that you are here. You are here to be seen and to show that, look, I see you, I appreciate you. Just little stuff like that. I mean, we got so many little rules. I feel like sometimes our kids, dadgummit, man, we hard parents,
Giving them a hard time. I'm just trying to get through. I'm just trying to go to the grocery store. I just want a cookie. Why do I gotta go through all
Daddy
this?
Daddy make me do all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah.
Did you, are there any little things that you remember from your own growing up that were kind of hard to pick up?
Ooh. Oh man, that were hard to pick up. Like in what way?
Like, something either. I'll give you an example from my own life. So, me and my brother shared a room. We were supposed to do, somewhere in there. I don't know. There was a point where my mom stopped doing my laundry.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was totally because she was like, if you're going to leave it on the floor, then let it be your problem.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure. But there was a transition
at some point
where I learned enough about it, and I don't remember getting a directive like, now you do your laundry yourself.
Right.
But it was sort of like, it just stopped happening, and then it was like, okay, I guess I better do this myself, or I'm not going to have no clean clothes. Right? You know what I mean? Where, everyone doesn't always, pick up on that cue, so then
Right.
you just end up wearing dirty clothes over and over again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, or a couple times where like I got ready to go outside and it's like, oh snap, all my clothes are dirty.
Yeah.
I know underwear, which is a fun one when you look and you go to get new drawers.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
like,
wait a minute, there are no drawers, and now you got to try to make a. You're going outside today. I'm going outside. So
like right then, too.
how dirty are these drawers?
Yeah. You
Full
get
disclosure. How dirty are they? Right?
come to self moments
Yeah,
where it's
so-
like, okay, what am I gonna do? Yeah, I got an example. So that that reminds me of something. So I was that kid who had a messy room. You know, sometimes, I mean, I'm not gonna say it was that bad, but if you ask my mom, she'd be like, yeah, he kept his room messy. And, you know, she'd be like, go in there and clean up that room. And then something else would come up. You know, I'd have homework or something else would come up and I wouldn't quite get to it. And then on a Friday night, it was usually on a weekend, I would just stay up for 6 hours and just clean it spotless. And it would be all organized and everything. And then my mom would say, see, couldn't you have just kept it that way? And I'm like, oh, Mom, you don't get it, you know, because I'm using it and everything. So funny now because I think about it, and it is so much easier to maintain than to do that one big cleanup, right? And so I hear my mom in my voice a lot of times when I'm talking to, you know, our kids, and I'm just like, I'll say something, and then I'll just pause, and I just heard my sound as my mom.
Yeah.
It's kind of trippy, and it keeps happening. And so that's one thing. I'm just like, you know, it's easier to keep your room maintained. Oh,
snap,
man.
Okay, I'm out here like mom.
Yeah, I'm out here, and but you know, then I get into why, and it's like it's just easier to pick up every now and again, and you know, and I try to make it a bigger lesson, you know, teachable moment. You know, it's easier to maintain stuff than to just do one fell swoop.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you got to do that whole thing, but sometimes it's just easier to just keep it steady.
Yeah, I would say, thank you.
Yeah.
I've been, I think I do a pretty good job of it, but some days I come home and I can be fussy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is this over there? Who put that there?
Yeah.
I realize, you know, that's totally my mom.
Yeah.
Like, we come, you know, if we didn't keep stuff, tighten up stuff or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and she come home from work and be just, you know, and it wasn't like, you know, it was by no means like just outlandish, but it was definitely like, oh man, why you leave that out?
Right,
Like my brother did it. Types of like, oh man, brother left stupid thing. I'm the one. Look like I did it. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? You be
I
all
didn't even
mad.
touch them things.
You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure. I always wonder if the kids are listening.
Right.
Like, are they just going like, oh, Pop's down there tripping?
Oh, he just doing everything. What he always do.
You know me down there just being all grumpy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He need to go sit down.
Wait a minute, and it'll subside.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Word. So, this is the point where I like to meander a little bit. You know,
All right.
Now I told you I snuck up on you because I didn't tell you I was going to bring in the game.
Yeah.
No Context, which is a game
Yeah.
Kory created. I participated in his Kickstarter campaign.
Thank you.
You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
So that you might be able to one day find out the secret clue of what card I contributed to the game. Now I was gonna put him on the spot and make him play, regardless if he want to or not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him a chance, but I'm gonna open it up. Can you tell me a little bit about though? Is there anything you learned so far in this process of creating, you know, a game that has surprised you? Is there anything that just was like, oh wow, I didn't realize that was gonna be like that?
Yeah. I mean, fresh off the bat, it's that I can do this. You know, I was playing a kind of a beta version of the game, and we was with some friends, and we were playing the game, and we was just having a fun time with it, and they were like, "Oh, Kory, you should make this a thing," and instantly I just went to, "Nah, I can't do that, man. I'm not a game maker, you know, I need to be doing something else," and they're like, "No, do it," and I was like, "All right, let me think on it," and I was like, "I'm not gonna do this," and they, you know, thankfully they kept pushing me and saying, look, this needs to be a thing. Do it when you go do it. And so say, all right, look, I can do this. I can do this. I can do anything. And how can I show up for, my kids? And so just kind of went at it and surprised myself.
Cool. Well, how about we do this? We'll just do like 4 cards.
All right.
So we're not going to do a whole round.
Okay.
We're not going to do a whole game. Let me get it. Hold on. Internet's world. You can't see me. I'm moving to get a pen. I got another pen over here.
All right. Oh, man.
Get the green. Take that green.
Thank you.
We're gonna play it right on the back.
All right.
Your release here. You write on there. I'm gonna write in my notebook.
Cool,
right.
cool.
So I'm supposed to basic rules. I just flip it, right?
Yeah, you just flip the card over, and it's going to give you 2 options, and then
That's one of the ones to do yourself.
yeah, and then you write down what you would choose between the 2, and what you think the other person would choose between the 2.
All right. So we're gonna shuffle these.
And it's called No Context, so we can't talk about it. There's no context. It's just pick one and go with that.
All right. Here we go. First card. Sugar Maddox. The stigmine.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, no context.
No context. Man.
Yeah, I'm already wanting to talk about it, but
you got to get the game. You want to understand on a deeper level.
Yeah. Exactly.
We about to go fast, or we just?
And then we both wrote it down. So now just move to the next one.
Reform or revolution?
Okay, next one.
Sweeping the Dodgers in the National League Championship, or more chance to share an exotic meal with Anthony Bourdain? One more chance, bro.
Cool.
And we'll do 4. This will be make a square. Rolling Stones or the Beatles? All right. So.
All right. Man, oh man, no pressure.
No pressure. All right. For the first one, I went with the stigmine because it seemed like it was more complicated to say. I don't really know what either one of those are, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I went.
And I'm not eating sugar this month, so I'm doing it. So I didn't want to have one with sugar in it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I put Sugar Medics for both of us. And all right, so now that we've done it, I can talk about the context for that one, right?
Okay.
So I did a Kickstarter for it, and it was successful. And one of the levels that you could back it was you could choose your own card. And so one of our friends who supported me is a nurse anesthesiologist, and so these are 2 drugs that you can use to put somebody under.
Oh, all right. So can I give a shout out to on the internet?
Yeah.
Gas Passer MZA. So GASPASSER MZA.
Yep.
Show them some love on the internet. So you listen to this. And then all right. So I put reform.
I put reform and revolution. So.
Oh, thank you. I mean.
Yeah.
I put Bourdain.
Yeah, because I rooted for the Dodgers growing up. So yeah.
Then I went for you. I put the Beatles and I put Rolling Stones.
So I had that Beatles for me and Rolling Stones for you, but then I went to the Beatles just because of the catalog, right? And so I was thinking about you and just the catalog, and so that's what jumped out at me. So,
all right.
Out of the 4, we got one right.
Yeah,
we got one team point.
I'm sorry, we get 1. So we got 1 point.
Yeah,
right.
we got 1 point.
We won.
Yeah,
we win. We are the winners.
Yes.
So I mean, the full version of the game, you go more rounds, and the idea is, I mean, at least for me, it's been you get to learn something about somebody you're kicking it with.
Right. Whether so the tagline is, how well do you know your friends? And how well you know your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, or even strangers in a bar, right? I've played this with folks in a bar and just like, hey, you know, why don't you come play this real quick? And folks have dug it far and wide. I'm really excited. And it almost didn't happen, but you know, thankfully, I had some friends who was just like, look, I believe in you. Do it. No. Do it.
Well, I'm glad that you did it, and I enjoy it, and I look forward to getting some more rousing rounds of the game now. But also, I just think it's really, for me right now, it's a big important thing is people creating things, especially from our community, because I think with the circumstances that we live in this society, we can get real into the oppositional and like stopping stuff,
right?
Which is important to stop stuff, but then it can become like we only are really good at stopping stuff,
right? Like we don't creating, building something,
and like when you make something, you know what I mean, especially games or whatever have you, it just gives you a chance to do something, and so I'm excited and I'm glad. Are people able to purchase more copies? Like where are we at in the No Contextualness?
It is here and ready. To get your copy, you can go to nocontextgame.com, NOCONTEXTGAME.com.
Awesome. So we're almost to our exit point, so I'm gonna get you out of here on my new last question.
All right.
I didn't tell you about this because that's part of the system.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep it on my toes.
So, can you think of, or can you share either like a record, music, or a movie that you look at differently now than maybe when you first heard it in the past at some point, whenever that was? That's so like it's one point you thought about it like this, and now you look at it or hear it and you go, so you go.
Yeah. That's a good one. Oh man, I was not ready for this.
Stump.
I like it. You know, so being from the West Coast, this might be a little, cliche, but listening to Tupac the Machiavelli album, just listening to it again and just thinking about him, because I've been thinking about, who's on my Mount Rushmore, right? I mean, obviously Stevie Wonder, Prince, Michael Jackson. Just trying to think about who else is who's that fourth spot. And so I was like, let me pick up Tupac again. And so I was listening to, his catalog, and I came upon that one. And just listening to it again gave me a deeper appreciation for him as an artist. And even though it wasn't all contained in that one album, right, it's just who he was and what he talked about, and what he shared, right? What knowledge he was sharing with us, what he was communicating. It took me there. It took me there.
All right. Well, Kory, thank you for sharing and adding on with me today.
Yeah.
Anything for the good of the order, the good of the world before I let you go?
Just love. Just love. We need to spread love, and just care about other person, and our fellow people, because we in this world together, and we all trying to achieve the same harmonious balance, whether we know it or not.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Kory McDow, friend of mine, family.
Yes, sir.
Many other things, but I might not talk about. I might save it for a future episode of secret. Which, I ain't gonna say anymore. Stop talking about it, because it's secret. You ain't supposed to know about it. However, thank you, Kory, for sharing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This has been the Ask Your Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. Thank you for listening. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Ask Your Oldhead podcast. Thank you to my guest, Kory McDow. Please check out No Context. Pick up a copy. It's a great game. I endorse it. I had fun playing. And if you come across as a supporter of the Kickstarter, there's a Just Ice card in there. So if you come across my Twitter handle in there, shoot a brother a message, and also let me know what side you on. and maybe I can furnish something for you. Also, thank you to you, the listener, for taking your time. Please rate, subscribe, share, pass along, add on. Do something great. Put something good in someone you love's ear. You know what I mean? And also, thank you to Stream PDX. Thank you to Capital Consulting. And thank you to everybody, everywhere, doing what you need to do. In any event, I'm going to be out of here. We'll see you next week. Peace.